Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the KREF High School Huddle on our KREF Sports YouTube page. Remember to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, krefsports.tv and krefsports.tv on Facebook as well. That is Connor Pasby. I'm Grayson Singleton. We've got a ton to get into from what happened last weekend, what happened last night, and what is going to take place this coming weekend, as well as some critical district races as we get ever closer to the playoffs. So, again, glad you are with us. Let's start with the best thing from the weekend that we saw, and it was a triple overtime game in Moore. As the Lions survive a blown lead, they were up by 15 in the third quarter, as much as 11 midway through the fourth quarter. But Edmond Santa Fe comes back, ties the game, going to overtime on a last-second tip-in, and then we go into two more overtimes. Moore eventually gets the win, led by Tristan Hankins, 37 points. Roman Miller had 30, as those two combined for 67 points. Also, the Moore girls played on a back-to-back that Friday and Saturday against Santa Fe and against Southmore. They win both of those games to have a 2-0 weekend. And Connor, you were watching that from afar.
Oh, yeah.
Let's start with the triple overtime game. How fun was that?
That was crazy. I mean, you had both teams that just wanted to keep playing. They both had chances toward the end of that game to close it out, but they could not do it. Both teams kept hitting big shot after big shot, and of course it goes into 3 overtimes. We could not finish that ball game. But, I mean, once again, Grayson, Hankins and Miller, the two studs for the Moore Lions, both of them scoring over 30 points. Just really fun to watch, and they were able to hit shots down the stretch and close it out. A big win for them at home, and they really needed that one.
You know, you talk about a game where they really needed, because they needed that game to keep pace with Norman atop the district. And we're going to get into the district standings in a little bit. But the combination of Tristan Hankins and Roman Miller, they're almost redundant with each other. They're very similar players, wing scorers that can score on all three levels. And look, give credit to Santa Fe. I know we're going to talk the most about the team that actually won the game, but Santa Fe, a really young team. I talked to Karsten Melton, who calls their games a lot. And it's a really young team. It's a team that's going to be really, really fun in years to come, with Robinson going into his senior year next year. Dwayne McKinney is going to be a player to watch. TJ Newton's a freshman, and he was the second leading scorer in the game for them. So that'll be a fun Santa Fe team. But for Moore, this seems to be their year. They've got a lot of graduating seniors. If they're going to make a run, it's got to be now, and they're certainly playing like it.
Yeah, 2 shot creators in Hankins and Miller that do a bunch for them, but really as a team, they get stops on the defensive end. They got solid role players underneath the basket, but really them two is what drives the engine for this Moore team, and that offense just continues to click game after game. And it's been fun to just sit back and watch those guys go to work.
Yeah, and the girls, again, another 2-0 weekend. Cadence Pettit had a really great weekend. Libby JQ's had a great weekend, double-digit rebounds in both of their games as well. So the girls looking to position themselves a lot better as we go into the postseason. Let's go to Tuesday's matchups, or last night's matchups, as 6A District 1 took center stage. It was district matchups between Deer Creek and Putnam City, Southmore and Edmond Memorial, and Norman North and Yukon, that really shifted the balance of power in the district. So Deer Creek and Putnam City, that one went down to the wire. The Antlers down by 11 at the break, come back with a big third quarter, outscoring Putnam City 20-8 to get back into the game, and then survive on a last-second defensive play from Cooper Lasky. Here's the call that ended the game.
It's the final possession of regulation. It's Locke with it. Pass Leach into the lane, blocked by Lasky. Throws it up ahead. This is Smith. Veers it back out with 4. Gets it away to Davis with 2. Davis racing away. And 1 at the buzzer it counts, and the Antlers win it.
And then just down the street, you had Southmore and Memorial. Southmore was tied with Deer Creek at the top of the district standings coming into play last night. So Deer Creek won. Southmore couldn't keep pace, as Edmond Memorial, thanks to a big late second play from Brody Handcuff to tie it, and then the layup by DJ Padula to put them ahead, and ultimately one more free throw does it for the Bulldogs. And then Yukon and Norman North, as Norman North heads up I-35, goes a little bit west, and takes down the Millers. So the district standings do look like this. It's Deer Creek and Southmore 1 and 2, Norman North is tied with Southmore. Those two teams split the season series. Southmore currently leading in district points as well as having a better overall record. And then Putnam City right behind them. Okay, Connor Pasby, let's talk about this. The theme of this show today is going to be our postseason races and our district standings. Deer Creek, Southmore, Norman North, Putnam City, Memorial, and Yukon behind them. break this whole thing down.
Well, it's been a crazy district for sure on the boys' side, and Deer Creek, what's standing out for them, we talked about the last few shows, but they're getting healthy at the right time, playing great basketball, and they just find ways to win, and they showed it again last night against Putnam City, a scrappy bunch. They were able to hit shots in the fourth quarter to give themselves that win, but you just love to see the Antlers continuing to find ways to win, especially at home for them, Grayson.
Yeah, and they complete the season sweep of Putnam City. Southmore and Memorial was a fun one.
Wow, yeah.
DJ Padula with the game winner, the go-ahead layup. Brady Handcuff, pardon me, taking advantage of the defender and getting the three-point play to tie the game. Memorial starting to peak at the right time.
They are.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, they got a veteran group, and what's crazy is they won that game despite Tyson Pogai going for 27 points and 5 3-pointers, and they got the job done at home. And Handcuff had that and one toward the end of the game to tie it up, and he was able to convert that 3-point play. He had 19 for Eben Memorial last night. That's a great group that's, you're right, clicking at the right time and playing good basketball.
Yeah, and then Norman North on the road with Yukon. And this is big for Norman North. They've kind of been the odd team out in all of this, even though they have beaten both Deer Creek and Southmore. By the way, Deer Creek has one more game against both Southmore and Norman North to end the regular season. So that should be a fun way to end the year for the Antlers. But going back to Norman North, this was a team that I think started a little bit bumpy this season. They've stabilized and are really playing their best basketball now, and they're in position to host a region.
No, they are, and they're not getting much love compared to the other teams that we're seeing in that district. You're right about them playing up and down to start the season, but what stands out for them is the size they have underneath. They can match up with about anybody. And again, Hezekiah Green, when you're led by a veteran like that, a senior that's played a lot of basketball for that team, that obviously helps. And it showed last night when they're able to just scrap away and find a way to win at Yukon.
And that's when you get to this part of the season, that's what it's going to come down to. Can you just find ways to win? On the girls' side of things, because I don't want to gloss over this. So Deer Creek, with that loss, by the way, falls to 4th. Now, they had an outside chance at getting to the 3rd spot. So Deer Creek girls, they lose to Putnam City. Memorial takes down Southmore, and then Norman North defeats Yukon on the girls' side of things. So here's how that looks, and we'll talk about 6A District 2 in just a second because there's a race there. But Memorial now continuing to fend off Mustang for that number 1 spot in the district. They're a game ahead of the Broncos there. Mustang playing really good basketball as well. But Memorial just continuing to be led by that dynamic duo that we've talked about all season long, Williams and Jelmstead.
Yeah, Williams and Jelmstead that just light up the scoring column for that team, and they're winning games down the stretch, and they're showing just how much firepower they have on the offensive end. And they can match up. They got size underneath and great guard play that's really leading the way for them. Now,
lo and behold, Norman North is a game back of 2nd from Mustang. Now, the reason we keep bringing up the top 2 seeds is because the top 2 seeds in each region will host, in each district, will host a region, which means we get more coverage and more televised games for all of you out there listening and for all of our athletes as well. So Norman North, a game back of Mustang. And as I'm looking at this right now, because I just thought of it, Norman North and Mustang did, in fact, so Mustang did sweep that series. So Norman North would have to, or actually, no, they split. They split the series. Norman North won the first game to open up the season. So that'll be interesting going down to the wire between those two. Yukon a little bit lower in the seeding. So you've got a fun one at the top of that district.
No, you do. Yeah, and Norman North, I mean, led by 2 girls that have played a lot of basketball for them, and Harmon and Watkins down the stretch. They're showing it. They're able to run that offense for the T-Wolves and hit some big-time shots. They've been fun to watch, led by Al Beal. He's done a heck of a job with that Norman North team. They just keep getting better and better every single year, and they feel like this year is when they can take that extra step and start winning some more ball games in the postseason.
Let's go to the rest of Tuesday's action, where Piedmont fell to Choctaw And on the boys' side, they move into a tie with Santa Fe for 5th in 6A District 2. On the girls' side of things, let's go to Norman and Edmond Santa Fe up there in Edmond. So both boys and girls teams won. The boys continue to pad their lead in the district, especially with Moore losing last night to Putnam City West. So now Norman on the boys' side is a game and a half ahead of the Lions for the district lead. Now the girls, on the other hand, keeping their hopes alive to maybe unseat Putnam City North. That'll be a much taller task, given that Putnam City North swept the regular season series. Obviously, that game in the Norman tournament doesn't count toward that seeding. But Norman's girls looking like they're going to get the 2 seed, and they came off a really good game where they dropped 98 against the Wolves of Southmore, led by Keeley Parks 28.
Yeah, and we'll see where Norman and PC North, where they play each other in the postseason, because really all 3 of the games that they've had have come down to the wire and really tight finishes for both of them. But last night, putting up 98 points, Keeley Parks, again, with 28, leading the way, the 3-point shooting for the Tigers, and the defense that they have, full court pressure for most of the game. They force so many turnovers, and it's just really hard to run an offense against that Tigers team.
3 times Putnam City North and Norman have faced each other this year. In the Joe Lawson tournament, 65-62 win for Norman. Immediately following, 3 days later, 57-49. So another single-digit game. And then later on in the year, 44-42 win for Putnam City North. So those 2 teams just go back and forth. It's almost as if what team is just going to make more shots on the day.
Well, in that last game they had against PC North, Norman had a lead midway through the 4th quarter. They just could not finish the deal in that 4th. But, man, just those games that they've had against each other are so evenly matched, and it's been fun to watch both those teams go at it.
So as we look at the postseason and how it stands right now, in the district standings, Memorial in good position to win District 1. Norman likely to get the 2 seed in District 2. Our Bixby Spartans, who we'll talk about here in just a second, are undefeated in district play in District 3. What a phenomenal year the Spartans are having. And then Broken Arrow on the girls' side, unbeaten in 6A District 4. So it's been a very good year for our KREF girls teams. And then on the boys' side, Deer Creek, Norman, leading 6A Districts 1 and 2, respectively, with Owasso and Broken Arrow leading Districts 3 and 4.
There's so many good teams that we have, really, on both sides, girls and boys, especially the girls. Girls that we've seen for the last few years now. It's been fun to watch them just improve their game and get better as the season goes along, and we're going to have tons of that action in the postseason.
Let's talk about Bixby for a second, shall we? So the Bixby Spartans girls are undefeated in district play. They have seemingly ran away with the district and have enjoyed an incredible season under head coach Riley Littlejohn. However, one of their players, a junior, Kate Wernli, netted her 1,000th career point in last week's contest. And Connor Pasby spoke with Kate earlier today about the accomplishment.
You had an impressive accomplishment. You reached 1,000 points in your high school career, and just a junior doing that. So you still have another year to add on to that. But talk about the hard work that went into that, because that's a great milestone, Kate.
Well, just a lot of hours in the gym, but my teammates, they get me better at practice every single day. My coaches pour into me and give me the confidence that I have. So, it's the time that is spent in the gym with my mom and my teammates and my coaches that helped me to reach that last night.
Yeah, it's been a joy to watch you guys play. We've covered a lot of games down there at Bixby, so we've seen you guys play quite a bit. What stands out with you guys is how well coached you guys are, and that obviously starts with head coach Riley Littlejohn. What's it like playing under her throughout your career?
I've loved it. These past 2 years have been great. She instills confidence in every single one of us, and she just pours so much time and energy into us in the program and our practices and our games. So I just love playing under a coach who cares for us just as athletes and as people, and it's been a great 2 years.
And Bixby girls basketball has had tons of success as of late, trips to the state tournament. But what separates this year's team from previous Bixby teams?
I just think our culture this year, we have really great team chemistry. Everybody wants the same goal this year, and we're just all on the same page. our coaches are on the same page. So I just think we're different this year because we all know what we want and we also know that we can achieve it this year.
And lastly, Kate, for you, you've had back-to-back state tournament appearances in your freshman and sophomore year, but an early exit in the first round. So what's it going to take to make a deeper run for this Bixby team in 2025?
I think this year we're more experienced and we know what it takes to get through a tough game and how to finish a game. So I just think that if we keep playing together and we keep pushing towards our goals and we don't let up, that we will definitely make it further than the first round this year.
All right, Connor, anything you wanted to add to that interview? Would you take from it, talking to Kate, and your thoughts on this Bixby team going down the rest of the way?
Well, Kate Wernli is just a fantastic player, and that's quite the milestone to have in your junior year when you got another season left to add on to the points. And we just talked about how well coached they are under Riley Littlejohn. Back-to-back, where they've had 4 state tournament appearances in a row. 2 in a row for Kate Wernli in her freshman and sophomore season. So we'll see if they can take that extra step, get over that hurdle, and win a first-round game. But they are so well coached, fundamentally sound, and we've had several of their games at Bixby where we've been able to watch that.
Yeah, 20-2 on the season, which is incredible.
Pretty good. Yeah.
12-0 in district play. Let's transition to our Friday games and our weekend slate. So we mentioned 6A District 1. We've got another big matchup in that race for the number 1 spot. Deer Creek taking on Norman North. Josh Helmer and Ethan Higgs will have the call for you on KREFsports.tv. What's your early thoughts on that one?
Well, it's going to be a great one. You got 2 teams that playing great basketball down the stretch. They have veteran play, and you got so many talented players on the floor for both teams. Obviously, Hezekiah Green and Davis that Deer Creek has, another guard. So it's going to be fun to watch both those offenses go at it, and who's better from the three-point line? That's going to be a thing to watch.
Yeah, Norman used the three-point line to win the game the first time these two teams met. Deer Creek was in control for most of that game, and I'm interested to see what do the Antlers do if Hezekiah Green is guarding Clyde Davis Jr. Now, they've gone to more of an inside game. Phoenix Woodson had 19 points in last night's game, so we'll see if they try to run their offense through him because he'll present a matchup problem for the Timberwolves at 6'7".
Well, Hezekiah Green's a guy that can guard every single position, the length that he has. So it'll be interesting to see who guards who and what that defense looks like.
Also keep in mind, and we need to look at this, if that's Norman North senior night, sometimes when you have senior night and you mix up the starting lineups, that can sometimes get your team off to a little bit of a slower start. It was part of Deer Creek's game last night where the rotation was a little bit funky, and it took the Antlers a little bit to get their footing in that game. So keep an eye on that. Edmond Santa Fe is at Piedmont, and why this game is significant is because those two teams on the boys' side are tied. They are tied in those district standings. Santa Fe coming off of the loss to Norman. Piedmont lost to Choctaw last night.
Both teams wanting to get revenge, and especially for Santa Fe, man. When you had that tough game in 3 overtimes where you feel like you could have won that game on the road, then you turn around, lose to Norman. I think they scored 2 points in the final 6 minutes of that Norman High game. So we'll see how Santa Fe responds on the road at Piedmont. Both teams looking to get back on track. We know how crucial wins are late in the season. We'll see who can get one.
And on the girls' side of that matchup, Piedmont had won 4 of its last 5 games before losing by 11 to Choctaw as well. Those two teams are pretty good. And Piedmont, on the girls' side, a really streaky team. So if they start hitting, they can really start to do some damage. Enid is at Edmond North. It'll be our only Edmond North broadcast for this week, but Blake Gamble and crew will have that game for you over there as well.
That'll be fun too.
Yeah, and then 2 Edmond Memorial games. I split this up and wanted to do this differently because there's a game that was rescheduled from an earlier date. They played the girls' side of Edmond Memorial and UConn last weekend. They're going to play the boys' side of that on Thursday. So be on the lookout for that on KREFsports.tv. And again, we'll post all of the updates and game times and links on our Twitter page as well. So that'll be Thursday. And then Memorial will have Edlum against Edmond Santa Fe, boys and girls, on Saturday. And no matter how good those two teams are, both pretty good this year, though, Edlum's always fun.
Yeah, you just throw out the record books. It just matters who's tougher, who's going to hit some shots, and who plays with more confidence. And that's going to be a fun rivalry to watch to get close to the end of the regular season.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, that'll do it for us on the KREF High School Huddle. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, we'll continue talking about the district standings as we head into the postseason. We only have, one more week left of basketball regular season?
Crazy.
It should be fun.
Postseason's going to be insane.
And then we'll start talking. And we'll start talking some baseball too.
I know. We're getting close to that.
Here in short order. All right, that's Connor Pasby. I'm Grayson Singleton. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.